A frozen water tower has thawed, but thoughts of it happening again are chilling. It's something city leaders are trying to prevent.
A publisher is moving forward with a book that says the president is trying to keep it from getting published. It's moved up the release date.
And University of Iowa students are back to playing in the sandbox, but this time they say there are some educational values to it.
You're watching KCRG TV 9. Now, from your 24-hour news source, this is KCRG TV 9 News at 10.
Temperatures right now are getting back down around zero and should be colder when you wake up. This is a live look from our Cedar Rapids City Cam.
Just looks cold out there. Meteorologist Joe Winters joins us. And Joe, we have a lot of delays and closings already for tomorrow. So how bad will it be in the morning?
Looks like wind chills once again. Even though the winds won't be strong, they weren't strong this morning, will be between about 15 and 25 degrees below zero, particularly in an area from Dubuque over to Manchester, Cedar Rapids, and Iowa City. The farther west you go, there'll be a little cloudiness, and that'll keep temperatures a bit warmer. It's this area that clears off that allows those wind chills to drop. And again, that means frostbite can occur within about 30 minutes. Right now, the chills already 15 degrees below zero in Dubuque, 4 below in Cedar Rapids, feels like 7 below in Charles City. Notice 6 and 8 in Oskaloosa and Tama. Again, that's where some of the cloudiness. We've had a little bit of light snow and flurries across central and south central areas of the state. That is moving out. Once this whole system moves out, I think we do clear off, and that does allow our temperatures to fall. Air temperatures by the morning, about -9 degrees on average. But again, it's that wind chill to get you tomorrow morning. Later in the day, some partly cloudy skies break out. A couple more cold ones. In fact, Saturday morning's even colder than tomorrow morning. We'll show you the numbers coming up.
I didn't know that a water tower could freeze.
And many people in Evansdale still can't believe that happened in their city on Monday. The water tower finally thawed this morning. A boil order ended and people could go back to drinking their water as normal. But now they're wondering if this could happen again.
KCRG TV 9's Samantha Myers looked into this frozen tower problem. So Samantha, it's still extremely cold out there. How are they preventing a repeat?
Well, they told me they're still investigating exactly what happened and will do everything they can to make sure it won't happen again. And it's an older structure that might need some repairs. You'd think at a place called the Watering Hole, there would always be water. But that wasn't the case for a few days.
Yeah, he was like, I hadn't showered.
They made it work.
There were a lot of can pops, bags of ice, a lot of bleach, because, you know, we had to sanitize the water.
The reason, something no one saw coming.
A water tower freezing is just beyond crazy to me.
Not even the mayor or the rest of the nation.
Had an interview yesterday with LA Times. I think it was just a kind of, I won't call it a human interest story, but I think when people hear a water tower frozen, they're envisioning a tower with ice cascading off the sides. That's not what happened.
They still aren't 100% sure what happened.
I came in, got the system back online. Took for about a day and a half. I think we developed some ice in the tower. Not completely froze like a lot of people are imagining. It was just kind of more like an ice shelf. And I believe that blocked off the standpipe somehow.
The structure is 20 years old, and now the city is looking at making some upgrades.
I don't think anything's 100%, but we're going to look at putting some, maybe some little better fail-safes in.
They say they appreciate how understanding the public was, and the watering hole can go back to serving lots of water. The mayor also told me he was thankful for all the bottled water donations they received from local businesses and organizations. Bruce and Beth.
Thanks, Samantha. Well, up and down the East Coast, people are dealing with a powerful winter storm. This is a live picture tonight of Times Square in New York City. You can see some snow there on the ground. Other coastal towns, though, are getting hit with record high tides and snow. Places like Boston, Hampton Beach, and others are flooding with freezing water from the Atlantic. And to make matters worse, once that water gets to land, the cold air and snow is turning it into an icy mass. In Hull, Massachusetts, cars can be seen trapped in frozen blocks. Look at that. The governor of New York says this storm should not be taken lightly.
The situation on the roads is dangerous. It shouldn't be underestimated. I declared a state of emergency, which means it is dangerous out there.
More than 4,000 flights to and from the area were canceled today. LaGuardia and JFK airports were closed because of heavy snow. And flights at JFK will start back up in the morning and are already running again at LaGuardia.
Employees inside a county courthouse here in Iowa say a part of the building hasn't had heat for the last 2 weeks. But the 911 dispatchers are trying to get by on space heaters inside the Warren County Courthouse in Indianola. The chair of the Board of Supervisors offered this response to a reporter who asked about the situation.
You're the first I've heard of this. Well, you know, there's been no quote-unquote maintenance request to have the heat system checked or whatever.
Supervisor Scholl says a maintenance worker checked the dispatch center today and said it was 72 degrees there. But an employee says workers there are skeptical.
In a TV9 update, the semi-truck that veered off 380 and crashed into a side street actually hit a car that was stopped due to the weather. Police say the car was defrosting its windows. This crash happened around 4 o'clock Tuesday afternoon when the semi went off 380 in Cedar Rapids. It landed on L Street Southwest, hit a tree and split the trailer in half. No one was hurt, but police are reminding drivers to make sure windows are clear before driving.
In a TV9 News follow-up tonight, a man wants to move his second murder trial out of Johnson County because of the media attention his case has received. Curtis Jones of Iowa City faces a first-degree murder charge for the death of a bail bondsman last April. Police say they found the body of Jonathan Weisler inside Lederman bail bonds on April 23rd. And they say Jones was robbing the business and shot Weisler in the head. A judge has already moved another murder trial for Jones. In that case, he's accused of shooting, robbing, and killing Ricky Lilly last June. His next court appearance is next month.
A Dubuque woman says police are lying about the conditions they found her children in when they arrested her. Jermaine Watson and Taisha Martin each face child endangerment charges. Officers say they found 7 children in their home. The home was littered with garbage, feces, and rotten food. Police say they conducted a welfare check on the home at 462 Birch Street Tuesday night to check on the kids. The mom, though, says the house is as messy as you'd expect with that many kids, but denies there was trash and rotten food everywhere. She says officers mistook syrup for feces, and she showed her home in a live recording that you see here, which she posted to Facebook. DHS removed the children and placed them with family members.
A man who previously had prompted a law officer to fire his weapon at him now faces a new charge. Officers arrested 35-year-old Eric Norelius on Tuesday. Just last November, the Blackhawk County Sheriff's Office says he drove at a deputy during a chase, and that's when the deputy fired his weapon. Now Norelius is facing charges for failing to register as a sex offender when he moved to Manchester. Police say he was living there for 10 or more days and did not notify the Delaware County Sheriff as the law requires.
The publisher of a new book that portrays President Trump as unfit for office is defying a cease and desist letter from the president's lawyers. And now it's moving up the release date to tomorrow. The president's legal team is also targeting his former chief strategist, Steve Bannon. They're threatening to sue him for disparaging remarks to the author about Trump and his family. In the book, The Fire and Fury, Bannon reportedly says a meeting with Trump officials and a Russian lawyer in June of 2016 was, quote, treasonous. The White House press secretary says nothing else should be interpreted from the cease and desist order.
It's not from the United States government. It's from the president's personal attorney. And I think it is very clear what its purpose is, and there's nothing to add beyond that.
The White House also said there was no legitimacy to the claims in the book, questioning the president's mental fitness.
Coe College in Cedar Rapids will be offering scholarships for 14 low-income students who major in science, technology, engineering, or math. This is part of a $650,000 grant from the National Science Foundation. The money will go to 14 students who enroll this fall. They'll each get $6,500 for their first 2 years at Coe and $8,000 for the last 2 years. Also, during their 3 summers, the students will participate in a program that provides them with research, internships, and development workshops.
Students at the University of Iowa are playing in a sandbox. This time it's more educational than from their youth. Student researchers designed a virtual reality sandbox to demonstrate how gravity works in space. It automatically adjusts when you move the sand around. And the tracer going back and forth can represent a planet, comet, or even a spaceship landing. One researcher says this 3D representation can help people understand gravity beyond what they experience on Earth.
It's great to be able to see it actually happen. It's actually really relaxing too when you get to the end of a day of doing all the math and you get to kind of play in the sand and get to see it happen.
One of the researchers will speak at the American Astronomical Society in D.C. next week to explain the project's uses for research and education.
A winter homeless shelter allows people to escape the elements, but only at night.
After one woman's experience, they now want to extend the hours with these bitterly cold temperatures we're experiencing.
And those cold temperatures are going to hang on as we move through tonight. In fact, right into the start of the weekend, we're expecting the cold conditions, but there's milder weather ahead. We'll show you when we could jump above normal next. Keep it here on TV 9.
You're watching your 24-hour news source, KCRG TV 9, with Bruce Auney, Beth Malicki, Chief Meteorologist Joe Winters, and Sports Director Scott Sable. This is KCRG TV 9 News at 10.